The Stone Zone, with legendary Republican strategist and political icon and pundit Roger Stone. Stone has served as a senior campaign aide to 3 Republican presidents. He is a New York Times best-selling author and a longtime friend and advisor of President Donald Trump. As an outspoken libertarian, Stone has appeared on thousands of broadcasts, spoken at countless venues, and lectured before the prestigious Oxford Political Union and the Cambridge Union Society. Due to his 4+ decades in the political and cultural arena, Stone has become a pop culture icon. And now, here's your host, Roger Stone.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Troy Smith. I'm your regular co-host here on the Stone Zone, and today I'll be filling in for Roger, who is traveling to the great state of New York to help out our good friend Anthony Constantino as he battles for Congress there in Elise Stefanik's former seat in New York 21. We really quickly want to roll Roger on OAN. Just recently, this was a fantastic interview. We know you want to hear from Roger, so let's roll this clip of the legendary, probably and let's just dispel all the doubts, folks, the most successful political operative in the history of American politics, Roger Stone. Let's roll that.
Joining us now, sound off about today's intense moments on the Hill, and I'll bet you he has an opinion. He's host of the StoneZONE podcast, political consultant, icon, and my pal, Roger Stone, back on the program. Roger, you could have dressed up for my show. I mean, geez, you look like a bum. How you been?
I apologize for being a little underdressed today, Dan. Look, neither Ron Wyden or Senator Pocahontas, fake Indian, are an intellectual match for Robert F. Kennedy.
Exactly.
And a woman who will lie about her fake Native American heritage to get advantages in her career will lie about other things. Wyden is even more contemptible because he takes a quote that he knows is out of context and incomplete. What is this really about? What's really about is the lobbyists for Big Pharma are scared to death that RFK is going to investigate the safety and effectiveness of their products, which is, of course, the role of government to the extent that we regulate, health products and drugs. I really thought it was interesting that Bobby Kennedy's cousin, Caroline Kennedy, who, of course, would be the daughter of the late President John F. Kennedy, denounced him and was waving around a copy of John F. Kennedy's book, Profiles in Courage. That book was ghostwritten by John Kennedy's speechwriter, Ted Sorensen. Senator, later President John Kennedy not only didn't write the book, he never even read the book. And Ambassador Joseph P. Kennedy, you remember him, the gangster who was partners with Frank Costello in the bootlegging? He paid for that Pulitzer Prize. So, I'm a Nixon guy, so I got a lot of criticism for the Kennedy. There's only one Kennedy I don't have criticism for, and that's Robert Kennedy, because he's a man of enormous courage, taking on the Big Pharma monolith. And there has never been any podcast, any interview where he has made an assertion that he hasn't been able to back up with a study or other factual source. He scares the daylights out of the big donors for these senators, and that's what it's really about. And of course, he and Donald Trump, working together in the Trump administration, are on the verge of forging a new political realignment in this country, where common sense Democrats who are for peace over war, who are for free speech over censorship, and who want to hold Big Pharma and Big Food responsible for the very obvious problems of childhood chronic disease and an obesity epidemic in this country, are petrified that Robert Kennedy is going to expose them. What they don't understand is that there's a giant constituency out there of mothers and fathers, of children. They don't care about Republican and Democrat. They care about the health of their children and their families. And Robert Kennedy's exactly the right man for this job.
Amen, Raj. Let me tell you, at the end of the day, and you know where I lie, you and I have had private conversations as far as Trump and the MAGA movement and my conservative values, but I got a 17-year-old, and let me tell you, 17 years ago, I fought like hell in 2007 to make sure we weren't jabbing my kid up with a bunch of vaccines. And so that's all I care about. I don't care left or right when it comes to my kid. I just want her healthy. And so thank God for RFK and Trump coming together. All those senators, we know who they're taking their cash from. A couple more things happening on the Hill I got to get your take on. Pam Bondi, looks like now she's cleared that first hurdle. Hopefully it's going to happen. Maybe these senators actually got the message. They're supposed to be approving the president's people. What do you think is going to happen over at the DOJ the second Miss Bondi steps in there, Raj? You know her from Florida.
Yeah, I have a very, very high regard for Pam Bondi. She was an outstanding attorney general here in the Sunshine State. This is not about retribution. It's not about revenge. It's about rebalancing the scales of justice so we have one fair, unbiased, non-political system. And the Democrats are smug because they know that when their crimes are exposed, if they're charged in the District of Columbia, well, there's not a judge in the D.C. district who's unbiased or fair, and you could never draw any jury that will convict any Democrat, no matter how heinous the crime or overwhelming the evidence, which is why I suggest to Speaker Johnson that the House Oversight Committee and other key committees have field hearings across the country and subpoena those who have been preemptively pardoned by Biden. They cannot refuse to testify, and if they perjure themselves in a field hearing, then they can go to trial in the state in which they lied.
That's a little using the law the proper way. Yeah, I love it, Raj. Okay, the other big stink that the media and the Democrats just literally lost their lids over in the last, 24 to 36 hours is the whole freezing of funding agencies. That Trump and the memo went out, then they rescinded it, and everybody's like, what does this mean? Look, I understand it, you understand it, but for our viewers, explain. People that are getting individual things from the federal government, they didn't shut those off. They're telling the agencies, we're shutting you down with your cash flow until we start getting a record of where every freaking tax dollar penny is going. That's what we voted for him for. We want the spending, the out-of-control spending, to stop.
Well, you're absolutely right. I thought Stephen Miller was on, had the courage to go on with CNN last night, and I thought he handled this very effectively. I'll tell you what really petrifies them. Once they get into the SCIF, the secure area, and start auditing the spending for Ukraine, you're going to find out a lot of it made its way back to bank accounts abroad that are controlled by certain members of Congress. That is my prediction. That's coming.
Really?
They know it's coming, and they are petrified about it.
Roger. Dishing out some undercover stuff here. Okay, I can't wait to see which names are on that list. Finally, Trump offers 2 million federal workers a buyout to resign. I mean, he talked about slashing and cutting, and we heard about all these people who haven't returned to the swamp since COVID, sitting at home, working, putting in maybe, 10, 20% effort of what they should be doing for us. And so he's like, get the hell out. What are you paying for anymore? Your thoughts on that?
This is really very simple, Dan. I suspect that you could cut the federal workforce by maybe, 35%, and nobody anywhere would notice the difference.
Agreed.
There'd be no difference. So, if you don't want to show up for work and put in a full work day, then you had to quit. You're the taxpayers. You're milking the taxpayers. Look, Donald Trump means business. He's had 4 years in the wilderness, 4 years of having to fight the tsunami of lawfare and the corrupt Justice Department, the politicized Justice Department. But he's had 4 years to think about these issues, and he's hit the ground running with a very aggressive agenda to return the government to what it's supposed to be doing. And frankly, I think we are about to enter a golden age. Call it the golden age of Trump, an unprecedented age of peace, prosperity, security, justice, and law and order. So where America headed, as Trump said many, many times on the stump, the best is yet to come.
I agree with you. I think our future looks amazing. And I think this is also a new Trump, right? Doesn't have to worry about favors, getting reelected. He was shot. I think he's almost more empathetic, sympathetic to we the people this time. But now, as far as the swamp creatures, it's no holds barred. Look out, because there's a new sheriff in town. Roger Stone, check out his podcast, The Stone Zone. As always, brother, we appreciate you so much. You take care, Roger.
And God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, nobody could say it better than Roger Stone. He is a legend, and nothing better than hearing Roger talk about current events and what's going on politically. That was obviously from a few days ago, but we just wanted to show it to you because I know you come here for the legendary Roger Stone. But folks, there's a lot of fundamental differences between liberals and conservatives, and in general, a conservative is a person who seeks a society that is steady and consistent. A liberal is a person who seeks to change society. Now, this is in a very general sense, but both liberals and conservatives have their problems. But there's one problem that is uniquely conservative because conservatives allow it. And I'm talking about the problems conservatives have with letting liberals make any claim they want and without any proof most of the time. And then instead of calling out the claims as baseless, conservatives instead try to go about disproving the liberals' baseless claim. Democrat liberals have this habit of simply declaring things exist. They offer no proof. They just declare something into existence. And then conservatives feel that they must go about disproving it. This happens all the time. It happens so often you probably don't even realize that it happens. The most recent example of this was at the Trump inaugural ceremonies a few weeks back. Elon Musk was speaking to the crowd and said, "I just want to say thank you for making it happen. My heart goes out to you." In the middle of saying this, Musk made a metaphorical gesture of reaching to his heart and throwing it out to the crowd. We'll show you that gesture now.
Thank you. My heart goes out to you. It is thanks to you that the future of civilization is assured.
So this was obviously a gesture of goodwill made towards the crowd. After all, we all know there are only so many different ways a human can signal enthusiasm and appreciation to a crowd. We can't wag our tails or show our brightly colored feathers. We humans are usually stuck waving our arms in some way when we want to show a crowd what we appreciate. And we all know this. So why is our internet news feeds filled with stuff about Elon Musk giving Nazi salutes 2 weeks later? We see the Google headlines we can put up now that display some of these things. So after 2 weeks, we still have presumably educated journalists claiming that Elon Musk made a Nazi salute. And we see the headlines there. There's enough World War II documentaries on the internet for anybody who does 2 minutes of research to know that Elon Musk did not give the Nazi salute. The Nazi salute is given while standing at attention, feet together, the arms straight out in front at a 45-degree angle, palm facing forward while saying the words Hail Victory in German. I'm not going to repeat the German version of it here. The Nazi salute is not made out to the side while you're dancing around on stage and accompanied by the words, "My heart goes out to you." In fact, if you search the many thousands of videos, documentaries, and books made about the Second World War, it is a good bet that not once will you ever find an instance of a Nazi salute being performed while the Nazis said the words, "My heart goes out to you." But as the headline suggests, liberals are all up in arms about Musk and his supposed Nazi salute. In fact, there are even Jewish leaders who want to boycott Musk, but apparently do not know about Nazism to know what the salute actually is. This is obviously not a situation where Elon Musk thought the English translation of the German phrase was "my heart will go out to you." So why do conservatives tolerate liberals when they make these kind of baseless claims? The problem could be that conservatives consider liberals to be on a level playing field with them, a field where all ideas have equal merit. But in a lot of cases, with Musk being the prime example now, many of these liberals' beliefs are clearly without merit. So let's take a step further back and look at what's really going on here. Nazism is fairly recent history. Many of the older viewers have grandparents and even parents who literally fought the Nazis in World War II. It's safe to say that even people of average intelligence and education know what a Nazi and what a Nazi salute are and aren't. By process of elimination, the only people who could possibly be confusing Elon Musk's arm gesture and statement that "my heart goes out to you" with an allegiance to Adolf Hitler are the stupid people. Maybe it's not the politically correct thing to say, but it needs to be said. Some people are simply dumb. And these are people who cannot understand the difference between a Nazi salute and Elon Musk excitedly waving to the crowd after his friend just won a presidential election. And the thing about stupid people is they're no different than the rest of us when it comes to being arrogant or humble. A lot of stupid people know they're stupid, but they're humble. These people aren't the problem. They go about their lives, leaving people alone, trying to make it through the rest of their lives like the rest of us. But during COVID, these people were the people who knew to ask questions before they jabbed themselves with an untested medical treatment with irreversible side effects. The problem are the stupid people who are arrogant. These people just don't only not know when they're stupid, they're so stupid they actually think that they're intelligent. These are the people you often see in academia who believe their advanced degree confers actual intelligence. It does not. Likewise, these are the people who get degrees from Harvard and believe that only people from Harvard should be running the government, and then wonder how the government can be so screwed up if only people from Harvard are running it. Or do you find these stupid, arrogant people in journalism? In journalism, they get to believe they have special access to truth, or worse, they believe they get to declare the truth. And now, these stupid/arrogant people in journalism have declared that the truth is that Elon Musk made a Nazi salute while saying, "My heart goes out to you," instead of the other German phrase like it would be said if it was an actual salute. So this is the only logical explanation as to why the liberals would claim that Musk made a Nazi salute. It's not that they're trying to agitate us. It's just that they're dumb. And they know that malicious people in the media can manipulate stupid people into doing their bidding. And one of these days, conservatives have to stop trying to form rational arguments against liberals who say off-the-wall, ridiculous things. And instead, conservatives need to call out the elephant in the room, that these liberals apparently, and especially the ones who are trashing Elon Musk for giving a salute that he never gave, are very simply put stupid. So, folks, I hope you are enjoying the show. I hope you enjoyed that Roger Stone segment and our little monologue there. We have a lot of news to get to, but before we do that, I want to go to a quick commercial break, and when we come back from that, we'll be hitting some of the top news, political items of the day. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these words. Kamala Harris there's a lot of speculation that she could possibly be running for governor of California. And as we move forward here, it's looking like she's making more appearances out in public along the lines that she might actually be doing that. But it's not going well. And last night she attended a Lakers-Warriors game, and it didn't go well. Nobody really seemed to notice her. We have a clip of that. Unbelievable. Nobody really cares about Kamala Harris.
May have seen this.
all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Kamala in the White House again because she never received an actual vote from anybody. She never received a vote in the Democrat primary. She received very little support in the Democrat primary in 2020, where she challenged Joe Biden. But after all of this, folks, she believes that she is some kind of entity. And it's what it's going to come down to is that Harris could have been California's senator in Adam Schiff's position for the rest of her life. She could have been the senator of California for the rest of her life, but she chose to be vice president, and then she chose to undermine Joe Biden and to ascend to the top of the ticket. And what she's living with now are the consequences of that decision. So I don't believe that she will be running for governor of California. I think that actually her sights are much higher and that she's going to attempt to run a campaign in 2028. And I think that right now, if you look at the polling, that Harris is actually a heavy favorite. She's heavily favored to take the Democrat nomination, but that is in a very early situation, folks. It's a very early situation right now for Kamala Harris, and I don't think that she's going to have the muster to ascend to the top of the ticket and remain there. I think you're going to see some Democrats jump into the race that weren't in the race before, and it's going to be very interesting, folks. We have another clip that I want to play of Pam Bondi, our new Attorney General, who we talked about being sworn in here just a few days ago. She was on Fox News talking about suing the city of Chicago over the refusal to enforce immigration law in the city. Let's roll that clip of the great new Attorney General.
And I'm proud to be part of that.
I'm glad to hear that. Let me start with you've cracked down on sanctuary cities. The DOJ has put a pause on all federal funding to sanctuary cities and states. You filed a lawsuit against Chicago and the state of Illinois for being a sanctuary city. Am I wrong in my interpretation that a sanctuary city is aiding and abetting in lawbreaking?
Sean, what they're doing is they are choosing illegal aliens over the safety and security of their own citizens and the men and women of law enforcement who are out there trying to protect their citizens. Not only did we sue today the city of Chicago, we sued the state of Illinois, we sued the mayor, we sued the governor, and we sued others. And let me be very clear, if you don't comply with federal law, you're going to be next.
What about those that we now know apparently tipped off the Tren de Aragua?
A very tough Attorney General, somebody that I'm very glad is in that position. A very smart woman, Pam Bondi, who is making it clear that we have laws in this country and they have to be followed. We covered this yesterday briefly, folks. 2 days ago, the rage against Elon Musk that Democrats are having across the country. Really crazy stuff. We have a Representative Greg Kasser raging against Elon Musk in this clip. This is particularly great. I want to roll this unbelievable congresswoman, he looks like a congresswoman, but he's a congressman. Let's roll that clip.
Elon Musk crashes and breaks everything he buys. He thinks he can buy our government. We cannot allow him to crash and break our air traffic control system. Look at what happened when he bought Twitter. It just started crashing. Again, not a big deal if your app doesn't open one day. It is a really big deal if Americans don't know whether or not their air safety is protected. So this is, again, another instance where Elon Musk thinks he knows better than everybody else in the world. But in fact, he doesn't know anything about how to make sure air traffic control works. He doesn't know anything about how to make sure that our Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid payments get out to folks on time. He just knows that he wants to find a way to make money off of this at the expense of other people's safety.
I mean, how many rockets have you built, sir? I mean, how many people have you put out into space? I mean, give me a break. The idea that, Elon Musk bought Twitter and it's so bad. Twitter's worth double what it was on the stock market now than when Elon Musk bought it. He made an investment. It's now the top social media company, and we've seen people leaving Facebook, leaving Instagram, leaving other social media platforms to come to X. And not only that, but we've seen X develop AI programs that are invested in by the largest investment companies in the country. So BlackRock, Bloomberg, so many people have investments in X's AI, Grok, because it is revolutionary technology, and it's the really only a semblance of competition to OpenAI. And it's something that has to be addressed. That Elon Musk is perhaps the most efficient businessman in the world. The idea that he's working to fix a lot of the things in our government that don't work, we should be grateful for that. And a lot of Americans are grateful for that. But the Democrats, who have used this corruption to build their careers, to further what they want to do, it's just another instance of Democrat corruption. And they are really angry because Elon Musk is threatening their way of life. This is their lifeblood. This is their money. And AOC is actually calling on her supporters now to descend on Washington, D.C. for a new January 6th style attack where they will get out in the streets and put pressure on public officials. This is exactly like Maxine Waters calling for people to pressure people from the last Trump administration. Let's roll AOC calling for a new January 6th in this shocking video.
Principle number one in what you can do is that when one of these things comes to your backyard, you can resist. And what that happens over millions of people is that you generate enough friction that they cannot go as fast as they want to go, okay? So I'm going to give you some examples that have already been working. Let's start with immigration and ICE. When people say, what can we do? In my community, we are a heavily immigrant community. ICE raids deeply affect and disrupt our community. So, number one, if you live in a community with a lot of immigrants, know your rights. That's one tangible thing you can do that I want you to do. And that means know your rights if you are a US citizen as well. Okay? Here's one way that we're going to create some friction in this system. Tom Homan, who's directing a lot of these ICE operations nationally, etc., he went on TV practically crying. This dude was whining his ass off because ICE went into the city of Chicago, and Chicago had prepared for them. Community organizers, activists, and their mayor and local elected officials who were solid on this issue, they educated the city on their legal rights. Because what ICE tries to do is that they rely on people not knowing their rights in order to enter buildings, in order to search workplaces, etc. So when you know your rights, you are able to tell them no, and they do walk away. What you can do is protect people around you and also make sure that you are slowing down this system. The slower they operate, the less they can break.
Well, there you have, folks. This is just part of their efforts, and they are working to defile, really, our laws. They want illegal criminal aliens to be able to assault Americans. And when people like Lake and Riley die, AOC doesn't shed a tear. It's something that has to be addressed. And Tom Homan has vowed that a lot of these gang members are going to end up in Gitmo, and he said that he won't rest. We have that clip now. We want to play that for you because it's just a shocking statement, and it shows Tom Homan is the man for this job, and he is going to work to ensure that these gang members are removed. Really brilliant words from this man, a true leader, and who's overseeing how we can really remove criminals from a society who came here illegally. Let's roll that clip.
Thank you. Harris, we will not be happy to every single TDA member. TDA is going to be eradicated from this country. I will not rest until every one of them are in prison or at Gitmo. That's a promise I'm making to the American people.
Tom Homan, the border czar for President Trump, on it. Thank you very much.
And he's exactly right. And to prove my point here, folks, we have a clip from Fox News showing that there's been a 90% decrease in border crossings since Trump took office just days ago. So all those border crossings that we heard about under the Biden administration, they've been stopped dead in their tracks. Let's roll that clip.
Talk about these latest numbers that you have and how you guys have been able to get it done, Chief.
So look, the U.S. Border Patrol, we know how to get the job done. We know how to secure the border. All we needed was a president that was going to empower us, a strong leader like President Trump, and then a secretary like Secretary Noem that knows exactly what we need to do to secure the border. We're seeing almost a 90% decrease in illegal entries since January the 21st. Not only that, but our criminal prosecutions of those we're apprehending is up almost 52%. You talked about, you led in with the Tren de Agua. Our U.S. Border Patrol BORTAC unit is out there with ICE making those arrests. And so, look, Border Patrol knows how to secure the border. All we needed was an administration that would let us enforce the law. And we're out there, and we are seeing phenomenal gains on the border.
Phenomenal gains on the border because President Trump made a campaign promise that he would secure the border, and we're seeing promises kept. That cannot be understated in the world of politics, folks, because so rarely do we see actual action on the things that politicians promise. President Trump made a promise on the campaign trail that he would keep men out of women's sports. Now that he has become president, he has signed a rule that has now moved the NCAA to remove some of the language that allowed for transgenders to participate in sports for genders they did not belong to. Let's play a clip of President Trump making that promise on the campaign trail that he would take action now that he has. Promises made, promises kept.
Easy question, and everybody in the room, and you know that answer, we're not going to let it happen. You look, just yesterday, they had a volleyball match. Did you see that? Yeah. Where a person that transitioned, okay? We have to be very careful because this can terminate your political career if you say it's slightly off, all right? But transitioned from man to female and was on a volleyball. And I saw the slam. It was a slam. I never saw a ball hit so hard. Hit the girl on the head. But other people, even in volleyball, they've been permanently, they've been really hurt badly, women playing men. But you don't have to do the volleyball. We stop it. We stop it. We absolutely stop it. You can't have it. It's a man playing in the game. Physically, from a muscular standpoint, even if it was a little bit less, maybe they do all sorts of tests and drugs and everything else. Look at what's happened in swimming. Look at the records that are being broken.
So how do you stop it? Do you go to the sports leagues? Do you go to the Olympic
You just
councils?
ban it. The president bans it. You just don't let it happen.
Not a big deal.
And promises made, promises kept, folks. Well, there's a man that I want to make clear here on the Stone Zone we have our full support behind. He is running to replace RINOs Senator Lindsey Graham in South Carolina. He joined the Stone Zone and Roger yesterday. We're going to roll that full interview here for you folks so you can see it again because it's just a fantastic interview. And Lindsey Graham has got to go. We're talking about one of the worst people in the United States Senate, a traitor to his country who has worked to destroy our nation for years. He must be removed. He must be challenged. And we have the man for the job here on the Stone Zone. So we're going to roll this, and I'll be back at the end of the interview to sign us off here.
Joining us now, Mark Lynch, a proud South Carolinian who has just announced that he will challenge Senator Lindsey Graham in the Republican U.S. Senate primary. Mark Lynch, welcome into the Stone Zone.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you so much for having me on today. And I hope if he'd gotten pushed in, there wasn't a towel.
You're doing the Lord's work here. A courageous decision on your part. I know you weighed running for governor. You made a very strong first-time race for the state Senate. You're not a career politician. You're a successful businessman. You're also a devout Christian. We exchanged texts last night, and I love the way when I pointed out to you how uphill and difficult this will be, you pointed out that I was thinking in a earthly realm, and I needed to start thinking in a godly realm. And it is true that in the Bible, every great battle in which the forces of the Lord are incredibly overwhelmed, they're always victorious. Lindsey Graham's record speaks for itself. He is a backstabbing weasel. I don't know why the president keeps him around, other than perhaps that old dictum from The Godfather that you should keep your friends close and your enemies closer. He is a fish-faced enemy of the people, and he relishes his role in undercutting the party and occasionally the president, yet he is the first guy to want to show up at Mar-a-Lago and get his picture taken. It is a problem, and we discussed this, that by long-standing tradition, the South Carolina primary is an open primary. That means that anybody of either party or people who are in no party are allowed to vote. And traditionally, candidates like Lindsey Graham have survived because hundreds of thousands of left-wing Democrats, realizing that in South Carolina, the Democrat nominee has little chance of winning a general election, cross over to vote in the Republican primary to give us candidates like Lindsey Graham. I've talked to many of my friends in South Carolina about changing this rule. Prior to your expressing an interest in this race, they always told me the same thing, that it's not possible. Well, with God and Jesus Christ, all things are possible. Even victory under these rules are possible. They told us that Donald Trump could not win in 2016. It was literally an impossibility, except for it happened. They told us in 2024 that he was doomed, that Kamala Harris was soaring to a lead, particularly in the swing states. Of course, we now know all of that polling was false. The fundraising boom that she reported was manufactured and I think quite illegal. But Mark, how do you intend to address the open primary question other than through the very appropriate tool of prayer? But beyond prayer, what can be done?
Well, what can be done is last night, it is being done. We've seen our own chairman of the GOP in our state, Drew McKissick, has sent out an email to everybody, and I didn't see it when we talked last night late, but it's already begun. They're actually working on a bill to close the primary, and a lot of those guys may not be our favorite guys, but God is bringing unification to the party. He sees that how divided it's been with all these different groups, and I believe God is moving us towards one true Republican Party again. God gave me that thought early on before I decided to register with the FEC for this race, that he will unify it. He's bringing people together, and it's him that's going to do it. I can't do it. The battle is his. We've cast that burden to him. We trust in the Lord, and he's using us. We're here fighting hard. Momentum is building in this country like never before from the momentum of we the people who got Donald Trump elected again. And he won in 2020. We all know that. So he's won all three of his elections, but he just didn't get his name honored in the 2020 election, that November 3rd. It was stolen. But God used that to get people educated. And we want to make Republicans Republicans again. We've all sworn to an oath to serve God and fear him and serve in that respect and honor him and our service in this great country that he created for us to work out of. And so he's bringing us all back to him. And we had 4 years of prayer on our knees with that 2 Chronicles 7:14 verse, that we had to all get our individual houses in order so that he can hear our prayers and heal our land. So he's unifying everybody together again. And Donald Trump's been a great leader who hasn't wavered in that and believed and held on. And we're here, and things are rapidly moving in the right direction with the Lord. The people came and helped that happen, not a party. But God's going to let us call it the Republican Party again, unified under him.
Earlier in the show, I had James O'Keefe on. James O'Keefe and I have something in common. He had his home raided by the FBI, particularly outrageous because he's a journalist, and journalism is a perfectly legal activity. This was Joe Biden using the FBI as the Gestapo, his personal Gestapo, because of the embarrassment that was contained in Ashley Biden's diary, which had been given to James O'Keefe. He didn't steal it. He didn't buy it. It was given to him. He actually never published it. Now, when the FBI raided my home at 6 o'clock in the morning, Lindsey Graham fired off a hot letter to the head of the FBI demanding to know who had approved the raid in my home. The FBI never answered. The FBI director never answered that letter, but Lindsey didn't really care. He got the headline he was looking for, trying to act like he was doing the right thing without really doing the right thing. There was no follow-up letter, by the way, or subpoena to come up to the Senate and explain who had ordered this unnecessary raid on my home, which, by the way, cost the American taxpayers $1.1 million because the government was on shutdown. And therefore, all the agents were being paid time and a half. I got that number, by the way, from someone, a whistleblower in the Miami FBI office who was opposed to the raid, but didn't speak up in opposition to it at the time. The Lord calls on us to speak up, not to hide our candle under the bushel, as they say. I commend you for having the enormous courage to take this race on. Your governor, Henry McMaster, is one of the best governors in the United States. I've known him back to the time that he was a U.S. attorney under Ronald Reagan. He is a man of faith. He's a man of strong leadership. Had the courage to support President Trump over a former South Carolina governor, a colleague of his, because he knew that President Trump was a much better person for the job. He was for Donald Trump in 2016, early, when others said that Trump couldn't possibly win. The nominee would clearly be Jeb Bush. It's amazing how here in Florida, people don't even remember Jeb Bush. He didn't go down as a great governor. His name never comes up. He left kind of no mark. It's a remarkable thing. Mark, have you obviously, you're a man of great success, and under federal election law, you're allowed to donate as much to your own campaign as you wish. But I have a feeling that across this country, outside of South Carolina, across this country, there are going to be hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of small and medium-sized donors who are going to want to join this cause. I think you're going to be able to raise millions of dollars to do what needs to be done here to remove Lindsey Graham to the U.S. Senate. I know you just made this decision. Have you yet set up a website and a way where folks can give?
We have a splash page set up, ready to go with an Anodot account. Yes, sir. It's going to take we the people to do it like we've done with Donald Trump. It's going to take a unified effort in prayer and giving and working to help this campaign. The people want this. They want Lindsey gone. And the traction from that has been huge so far, just after 24 hours with how much everything is going viral across X and whatever, and the natural search engine optimization and all the holistic campaign energy is heated up everywhere. People are calling in. God's blessed us with the money to do this. We still need all the rest of the money to compete in a campaign like this. So help us, join us. But it's ready, and we're solid, and we're moving super fast and working hard, working till 2 in the morning every night. I'm worn out, but God gives us that energy to keep going. It's all about Him. So, yes, thank you, everybody that believes in this cause. And go to our splash page on our website. It's Lynch for Senate. And you can see us at Lynch SC on Facebook. And you can just search Mark Lynch and get to know who I am and join this campaign. This is our fight. It's not mine. It's all of us. We need the right people that Donald Trump doesn't have to worry about under him working in the U.S. Senate for our state. And I'm a little concerned, just a little bit, that I guess it's an incumbent protection thing that our governor and Tim Scott have supported Lindsey Graham. So whatever that means, I know there's all kind of reasons they stay together, but we got to help new people get in. When the wrong people are in, we got to get them out. And so I'm not sure what kind of message that sends to the state citizens when McMaster's and Tim Scott announced they were supporting Lindsey. That's not a good thing to be affiliated with, and it won't be real popular. And I don't believe it's the right thing because they're not in touch with the sentiment and the concerns of the voters out here. So God's brought me into this, and the right people are supporting me. And anyway, God's people are speaking, and they've expressed their desire for me to run. They've asked me, and every time anybody that knows me has ever asked me, "Are you ever going to run again?" And I said, "What would you have me run for?" And they said, "Please take Lindsey Graham out." So I'm answering that call. Send me.
Folks can go to lynchforsenate.com, lynchforsenate.com. We just had it up on the screen. It's right there again. Please send the most generous contribution you can, because this is a grassroots movement. I guess what I was driving at is that Governor McMaster can do something far more important than endorsing you. He can sign legislation closing the primary, and he should do that. And he's a good man. I'm going to pray that he uses his discernment to do that. Tim Scott, that doesn't surprise me. He's a neocon. He'd send another $10 billion to Ukraine tomorrow if they asked for it. I don't think he's a bad man. I just think he's a misguided man. I honestly think that the more important thing, of course, would be closing the primary so that radical leftists cannot swamp the primary to try to prop Lindsey up, which is, of course, what has happened in the past. Democrats are smart enough to know that whoever the Republican nominee for the Senate is going to be elected. Therefore, there'll be no action or excitement in the fight for the Democrat nomination. So leftists who love Lindsey Graham for all the obvious reasons are going to try to flood into the Republican primary to defeat Mark Lynch. We need to stop that from happening. And I'm going to pray that Governor Master, and more importantly, the members of your legislature be enlightened and they do the right thing. And I'm hoping that Henry McMaster, who I'm telling you is a good man, will sign that legislation. That would be the most important thing that he could do for your candidacy. This is hard work.
Roger,
go ahead, please.
Excuse me. I just wanted to add one more thing about that. Like President Trump brought up, what had Kamala and Joe Biden done the 4 years they had the ability to serve? Why would it be different? Our governor, our attorney general, our U.S. senators have known. How long have they known these primaries are open, and it's affecting our state to allow enemies to get in that way? We saw it in my state Senate campaign. From 5 to 7 o'clock, all these angry voters started pouring in. They were voting for Lindsey, and they were voting against me, because that's what they do. And so we can't, I don't have any people in my organization here at our business that work for our competitors. I don't think Donald Trump has that in his business that he had before and still has while being president. And so we can't have people like that are RINOs. That's a nice word for it. I think it's more of a treasonous type of situation. If good people that grew up in the United States that run with a sworn oath to God to protect this country against foreign or domestic enemies have been pulled left into a party that when Obama was president, they voted it in Charlotte, 100 miles from here, to take God out of that party. So if you don't have God, what do you have? So I hate to see that that's crept up into the Republican Party, and we've got people that are not doing the right thing all through the years of their service until it's time to campaign again. Then they start talking good talking points to try to win an election again, and they go back and they're stabbing us in the back with everything they do. So who are they? It's time to get those people out. I'm so thankful that Trump, with Godspeed, warp speed with God, is changing America, and he's getting everything that's evil gone. Let me help do that. I'll serve the president without wavering.
It is important to note, actually, from a historical point of view, the open primaries actually served South Carolina well in the past. In 1964, Strom Thurmond, a former Democrat governor, a Democrat U.S. senator, decided as a matter of conscience that he had to support Barry Goldwater over Lyndon Johnson, and he made the decision to become a Republican. Now, he could have just stayed in office, but he insisted that the people needed to be in on this decision. So he resigned from the U.S. Senate to stand in a special election as a Republican, and he was fighting against the Barnwell gang. There was a major effort to try to defeat him in the primary, but millions of conservative, probably hundreds of thousands of conservative Democrats crossed into the Republican primary to save Strom Thurmond and send him to the U.S. Senate, where he was a champion for liberty and the Constitution and a strong national defense for longer serving than any senator in history. So this has served the state well in the past, but it no longer serves the state well. It's been corrupted and perverted, particularly by those liberals in Charleston. So this does
We're
need
in
to
different times now. Yeah, we're navigating through different times now, right? There's a lot of things we used to do in my business we don't do anymore. It doesn't work. We had to change and adapt to the right way today to win. So we want to bring integrity back to our elections.
Mark, I could not agree more. I just had to prove to our listeners that I'm older than dirt.
Sure.
And I remember
No,
everything.
you're not. You got many good years to go, sir. Thank you for what you're doing.
Well, again, folks, I want to appeal to you. Please go immediately to lynchforsenate.com, lynchforsenate.com. $25, $50, $10, $100, $1,000. I think the limits now are $3,500. As my advisor here tells me. But send whatever you can. Every penny will be appreciated. This is a grassroots movement. We can't rely on Mark. Mark's got the ability to pay for this himself, but we shouldn't call on him to do that. He'll do his part, but we need to do our part. This is probably going to be the hottest, most important Senate race in the country. I think, Mark, you're very wise to start early. Many folks are going to try to discourage you, but I've already learned you're a man who cannot be discouraged because you put your faith in the Lord. And I know you prayed over this decision. I've learned to pray over the big decisions in my life as well as the small decisions. And he's led you on this path, and it's the path of righteousness. It is the correct path. I believe you're going to win, but even if you don't win, it means you got into the arena to fight for the right thing. But you will win if you believe you will win. You will win if you believe that God is on your side, and God is on your side because we know Lindsey Graham's record. He does not stand up for the things that we believe in. He is probably extraordinarily vulnerable. I haven't seen a legitimate poll yet, but his treachery cannot be underestimated. I know of his backstage role in the questions over the confirmation of RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel. Now he's finally gotten in line, but he would tell you one thing while behind the scenes he was trying to rally the RINOs to vote against the president's nominees. So he himself didn't want to leave his fingerprints on it. It's kind of like when Lyndon Johnson wrote the Southern Manifesto to destroy the 1958 Civil Rights Bill. He wrote it, but he didn't sign it because he wanted to run for president in 1960. He didn't want the stigma of being the segregationist and racist that he was. Yet he was propping up those who put an amendment into the 1958 Civil Rights Bill that said that if you violated that law, you would be tried in not a federal jury, but before a state jury. Well, in 1958, in states like Mississippi or South Carolina, no black man would be acquitted by an all-white jury, and no white man would be held accountable by an all-white jury. And he knew it. And that poison pill amendment was written by Lyndon Johnson, but he didn't put his name on it. You see, it's the same shady tactics that Lindsey Graham uses. Just another reason why we need to get this duplicitous weasel out of the U.S. Senate. All right, I am going to close the show here. Mark, I'm going to ask you to lead us in a moment of prayer. I want to pray for the safety of our president, first and foremost, because I believe, well, they tried to kill him twice, and they're not above trying to kill him again when they see this extraordinary change that he's bringing to our country and the fact that he is moving swiftly. I just read, for example, that the president has ordered Pam Bondi and signed an executive order to have Pam Bondi fight anti-Christian bias by the Justice Department. This proves once again the hand of God. So we have just 1 minute left. Mark, why don't you lead us in a final prayer?
Love to. Thank you so much. Heavenly Father, we just come to you now, and I pray for the unification in your name, your Son's mighty name, the name above all names, Jesus Christ, who came and gave his life for every one of us. There's no greater love than he that would lay down his life for his friends, you tell us in John 15:13. But in the next verse, John 15:14, you tell us, I call you my friends if you're obedient to my commands. We're all called to serve that are yours, that are your children. It's a faith issue sometimes. Lord, I pray that you forgive me for when I have disbelief or fear creeps in, because fear's a sin. I trust you, God, and you only, the one true God. And I thank you that because we're your children and this is your country that you founded with men of faith who came here to be free to worship you, that they bled for you and they did whatever they could do, just like your son Jesus did, to change everything and right it and correct it and erase the sins through your blood. There's been many followers here in our nation that have fought and bled for this great nation. I thank you for the perseverance and faith of Donald Trump, that no matter what, he never gave up, and he fought, and just fought harder when more persecution came. Give us all that faith to let our burdens go to you and trust you when Davids have to face Goliaths, because we know that we can do it with you. Everything is possible with you, Father God. So we dedicate this whole thing, and to all the other people that are willing to throw their name in the hat and fight for this great country, that trust in you, Father God. Give them favor. Protect them. Protect their families. Bring favor to their campaigns as we stand for what is true. The name of Jesus, we dedicate this whole thing to. In Jesus' mighty strong name, amen.
Amen. God bless you. Thank you very much for our guest today, Mark Lynch, the next United States Senator from the state of South Carolina.
Thank you, Roger. God bless you too.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, nobody better than the legendary Roger Stone. So I'm your co-host, Troy Smith. I want to thank you all for making the Stone Zone such a special experience for me and Roger. I know he looks forward to it every single day, and I know he was dying to be with us today. So Roger is headed to New York. God bless you, Roger. Be safe out there. And for all of our fans here, I want to encourage you, if you want to support the show, you want to get yourself some great products, you can go to mypillow.com and get yourself the bath towels or the bed sheets, or, you know, folks, they have a million different products over there. It's hard for me to even remember how many different products they have. There's thousands of things you can get. I want you to go to mypillow.com. I want you to use promo code STONE at checkout. That's promo code STONE at checkout. And when you do that, you'll help Roger and Nydia defend themselves from the vicious lawfare that's constantly waged against them, and you'll get yourself some great American-made products. I want to encourage you to follow us on Rumble. You do rumble.com/Roger Stone, where you will find this show every single weeknight live at 8 p.m. You'll also find Roger uploading a lot of his media appearances. So if there's anything you want to catch there, please do that as well. You can find Roger's work, his written work, as well as his video work at StoneZONE.com. And if you want to see what I'm up to, you can go to Slingshot.news, or you can go to our Twitter page, where we keep it updated constantly with our video content and what we are doing. So, folks, it's been a tremendous week here for me. I think I've done about 10 shows, so I am beat. I'm looking forward to the weekend, and I hope you are as well. So God bless you. Have a good weekend, and we will see you next week with the legendary Roger Stone. Peace.
A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone. Where's Roger Stone?